Hello again, everyone. It's Todd Staruch here at the inaugural Atlantic City Celebrity Convention. It's the second day of the show, and I have been having a blast so far. We've got an amazing view of the ocean and the historic boardwalk, and I get to talk with so many of the celebrity guests, and I am here with one of them, UFC superstar Forrest Griffin. Forrest, how are you?
I'm great, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Honored to be here. Yeah,
absolutely, man.
And you're right. This is actually an amazing view.
Right? It ain't bad, right?
Yeah.
So, is this your first time in Atlantic City?
No,
I would think not.
I
given UFC.
Here. I fought here.
Okay.
UFC 53.
Okay.
Battle on the boardwalk, maybe brawl on the board, something like that. I don't know, something related to the boardwalk.
Sounds familiar. All right. So, how does one get into the fight game? Is this something?
Well, it's a series of bad decisions.
Yeah. All right. I'm all about bad decisions.
Yeah, I bet you are. No, you now you start training when you're a kid. For me, I saw it on TV. I thought that looks fun. I need a sport to do. I've always been decent at fighting, so I went in and I started fighting some guys. Turns out it's not as easy as it looked, and I just got smoked. And I was like, all right, I got to figure this thing out.
For the record, I never thought it looked easy.
It did to me. It looked like I'm just going there.
I'd get
I've been in
20
some
seconds.
fights. I've been in some fights, and I beat up a bunch of karate guys, so I figured I'm ready.
I'd be in the ring for 20 seconds, and I'd be like, "Can you someone tell this guy to stop hitting me?" Like,
exactly, right?
So listen, it is. I was a boxing fan for a long time, really before the rise of UFC.
Okay, yeah.
And I'd even watch and go, "Man, this is a tough game." How do you? Obviously, there's the physical side, but mentally, how do you prepare for a fight, knowing, I could get clocked,
Yeah, well, I mean, that's kind of life, right?
That's fair enough.
I think, well, first off, you have to have the right kind of mindset to want to do that for a living. But second, if you think about anything, and I'll take your question pretty seriously, you think about
by all means,
sport in general, right? You're putting yourself out there in front of millions of people, and it could go horribly wrong. You could get embarrassed in front of every potential spouse in the world that you could ever have. I was on the first pay-per-view ever to do over 1 million buys.
Wow.
I know. And do you know what I did in that pay-per-view?
I didn't.
I got knocked out, and then I cried. Actual tears. And I'm not even a good crier. It wasn't like it was like
it's ugly like ugly cry.
I'm an ugly crier. It's true. That's why I don't do it. If I could cry better, it wasn't like one of those manly cries. It was like a upset 10-year-old cry. And that's the thing. You are up there literally like in your underwear in front of everybody else. So many things can go wrong. And to me, that's when you're watching the fights live. You can feel that. There's a different energy to sport and then to the epitome of human competition, which is a fight. Now, I'm a boxing fan now, but I actually found boxing after I found MMA. I was like, okay, that's I started obviously training boxing if you're going to fight. So, yeah.
Very cool. Along the way, was there ever a time after a fight, before a fight, whatever it might be, where you thought
every day, what the fuck? No,
I was going to say but
what have I done with my life?
What have I done? But seriously, was there ever a time where you thought, you know what, maybe this isn't for me? Maybe I should.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. I never vocalize those thoughts, but yeah, I mean stuff like that's going to intrude into your mind for sure. And I was actually, when I got on The Ultimate Fighter, I was actually kind of like semi-retired. Not retired, like I was still going to fight, but I was working full time. I was, thinking about going back to school. I had a lot going on, and, fighting was kind of tertiary for me. And then I just got an opportunity to go be on a crazy reality show about fighting, and it worked out. But yeah, there's definitely times. And it wasn't because I didn't love fighting or even that I didn't think I was good enough. It was because there were other things I wanted to do in life, and I wasn't able to do those while I was fighting. I don't know. Some people are just amazing, but for me, I have to prioritize what I want to do, and that's the thing you're going to do, and you have to kind of let everything else fall by the wayside.
I got you.
That's why I'm a horrible husband. No, I'm kidding. Kidding.
We have that on camera, folks. So what are you up to these days, post UFC career?
Why do I have to be up to stuff? I'm not up to no good, but I'm not.
Listen,
No,
now I'm disappointed that you're not up to no good.
Yeah, no, I actually work for the UFC, so I help. Cool. I help them run the Performance Institutes globally, and then we have some academies that the UFC runs, and try to do outreach to younger fighters and get them to train in a certain manner to beneficial for them. So Performance Institute is pretty awesome. UFC spends millions of dollars to give fighters what they need so they can perform at their best, extend their careers, and make more money at the end of the day, right? So nice. Pretty awesome project to be a part of.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
What was your most memorable bout?
So I fought in the finale of the first ever Ultimate Fighter in 2005, and that's my most memorable bout because for me, it was just kind of one of those right time, right place, and I knew that moment, that night, that my life had changed, that I wasn't a cop, a professional fighter, a student, a professional fighter, a bouncer, a professional fighter. I was a professional fighter first. For the first time in my life, I had financial resources and an identity that I could just be a fighter. And that's when the real pressure started. I was like, oh crap, I just lost all my excuses of why I'm not better.
Right. Right. Dude, that's awesome, man. This is so cool. I get to meet so many different people that do so many different
A lot
things.
of interesting stories, right?
Absolutely.
I bet, yeah. I'd actually, be careful. I'd like your job.
Listen,
I would take your job. I would go. How'd you get here?
I'm not a big ego guy.
I don't know anything about you. Tell me how you got here.
Look,
I love hearing people's stories.
So, thank you for asking. Yeah. I don't mind. I started out, I'm just a horror fan.
Okay.
And I started out, and I just started going to conventions and stuff. And then one time I used to partner with somebody, and she did the interviews, and I just ran the camera.
Right.
And then
she's the looks.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it was way better than this,
That's right.
But anyway, and it was a horror convention that was run by a friend of mine, and I just started doing that. And then I'll leave it at she and I had a bit of a falling out.
Okay.
And my father, who's a tech guy, said, "Why don't you just do the interviews?
Yeah.
You know all these people." And that, as they say, is that. And then it just grew over time, and people got to know who I was and started inviting me to do other events. But thank you so much for asking.
Yeah, well, it's great to have you. I appreciate it. No, I was asking because, the reason I asked is I was going to see if I could figure out how to steal your job.
Go for it, man. I'm sure my
just
cameraman
I'm just kidding.
will help you in a second because he's shifty like that.
That's okay. I thought that.
Oh, that's great, man. That's a great question. So one more, and I like to ask this to everybody, regardless whether they're an actor or whatever.
No.
So okay, cool. Thank you and good night. If there was one piece of advice that you could give to a young up-and-coming fighter who wants to be
Why the hell would I give that to them? Why would I do that? Something important that I had to sacrifice for and suffer to learn, like a lesson like that.
Whatever.
Like some key piece of advice that I wish that would have made me more successful when I was younger, but I didn't have. Why would I give that to them? Why would I want them to be more successful? Why would I do that?
Because you work for UFC.
That's literally,
you wanted to be more successful.
That's literally my job, and I'd like to think I'm pretty good at it.
This guy thinks he's going to get me off my game.
The important thing here is, one, that they actually listen, and not just listen, but act on the information they're given. Right. So, if there's one thing, it's track your training, right? What is that? We measure what's important. How do you know if you're, I don't know, my boss has a really cool saying, I forget exactly, but it's basically if you want to know why a thing is or isn't working, you have to track it. How much are you training? How hard are you training? How often you're training each discrete skill set, So that was something I did throughout my career. I have big books of training. I did this on this day. I never looked back and tried to make sense of why this fight went well or why that fight didn't or why I felt good here or didn't feel good here. But the answers were in there. I just didn't know how to access them. So one, start by tracking your training. what'd you do last week? What are you going to do next week? You know, and that's just a good advice for life. You know, like you have some things you're going to do. Sunday, you make a list. ABC, I'm doing this, this, and this. These are how these things are going to help me. Next Sunday, all right, how did last week go? All right, well, these are the lessons I can learn. This one well, this one didn't. What am I going to do this week to improve upon that?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
I'll
man.
expect your report.
Yes, and I'll get back when I start my training.
Yeah.
You know. So, Forrest, thank you so much for a few minutes of your time.
Thank you
It was
much.
very cool.
It's been a pleasure. Yeah, thank you.
Forrest Griffin, everybody, here at the first Atlantic City Celebrity Convention. Todd Staruch signing off. We will see all of you in the next interview.